الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما والتفرق بعده تفرقا معصوما. اللهم ولا تدع فينا شقيا ولا محروما. In the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most compassionate, the most merciful, all praise and thanks are due to Him, and peace and blessings be upon His beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He who is guided by the will of Allah, no one can misguide him, and he who is misguided, no one can guide him except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah that we do bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is His messenger. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. By the will of Allah, inshallah, today's session and next session will be the last review sessions of chapter al-Baqarah. Then we will start with Surah Al-Imran, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, the beginning of Al-Imran. Not next week, the week after, inshallah, by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, today we will be dealing with verse 188. As I told you, I'm doing a review, picking and choosing what, at least from my point of view, I felt they have much more importance than other verses and context. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this ayah, وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ بِالْبَاطِلِ وَتُدْلُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَّامِ لِتَأْكُلُوا فَرِيقًا مِّنْ أَمْوَالِ النَّاسِ بِالْإِثْمِ وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. Literally, the ayah says, do not consume one another's wealth unjustly, nor deliberately bribe authorities in order to devour a portion of others' property, knowing that it is a sin. This is the translation of Mustafa Khattab. The translation of Father Sulaiman, and do not devour your wealths among yourselves by false means, nor throw it as bribes to the judges in order to devour part of other people's wealth illicitly while you know. This ayah is talking about the relation between wealth and authority. Wealth, power, authority. Subhanallah, 1400 years ago, Allah is telling us about like a human norm or a sunnah kawniyya, or basically Allah knows how the people they will be doing. So be careful not to be from them. Before I highlight the relation according to the Quran, consuming your wealth, give it a bribe to the judges, to the authorities, to the people of power, لِتَأْكُلُوا, to seize, okay? To consume other people's wealth unjustly. Wow. Does this ring a bell in your mind about our daily life now? Before I link the Quran with our daily life, I need to remind you with something. Quran is a constitution of humanity. Quran is not a book of beautiful recitation just, which means we enjoy listening to the beautiful sound and that's it. Close the file. No. This is a simple goals of the existence of the Quran. It's a very marginal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in many verses, this is Furqan, Hidayah, guidance, and what? A distinction that distinguish between Haqq, truth, falsehood, batil. This is the main reason why the Quran came. It's a constitution that enables you, it gives you tools to realize, to understand, to judge, to know how to deal, what to say, what not to say, what to do, what not to do, how to analyze, how to judge, how to take a stance with or against, because it is guidance. So in light of this, and as I said, it's a constitution for life. And I have, subhanallah, it happened with me a few days ago. I was in a discussion. This discussion led me or pushed me to go back about 20 years ago, in 2003, 2004, when I was teaching in Jordan University after I finished my PhD. So it happened that I used to give a special course with the title of Islamic Culture in English in Jordan University. The majority, they were non-Arabs and non-Muslims. Because Jordan University, it's like a hub there, back in that area. So we used to have an average 57 different nationalities. They come to take courses, 57 nationalities. And many of them, they come in the summer or they come just for one course as exchange courses. It happened, by the will of Allah, the majority of non-Arabs, non-Muslims who happened to be in my class, they were Americans. 20 years ago. And it happened by the will of Allah. It was the occupation of Iraq by Americans was still very fresh, 2003. So it was a very hot top issue all the time. You know, occupation of Iraq, it was not, I mean, maybe those who are in the age of the 20s, maybe they don't know what I'm talking about, but at least anyone above 40 remembers what I'm talking about. It was one of the biggest disasters, one of the biggest Arab Muslim countries. They were occupied and it literally destroyed. Anyway, so it was a hot issue. Hot issue, occupied by Americans, destroyed by Americans. Third of my students in my face, they are Americans. So the debate of Islam and Muslims, the debate of violence, the debate of the history of Islam, the debate of terrorism linked to Islam, and you know, this kind of discussion, because I'm very open to a discussion. Now I'm teaching Islamic culture. What is Islam? What is culture? And I remember a very hot discussion once with one of the American students. He raised up his hand and he said, "Doctor, please, may I ask you a question?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Why it's the case that you Muslims are always troublemakers?" I said, "What do you mean by troublemakers?" He said, "Look, around the world, you always listen, watch, hear that always there are conflicts between Muslims and their governments," which is true. He said, "You are always troublemakers. Wherever you go, Islamists, Muslims, practicing, wherever a group of Muslims want to practice their religion, always they are fighting with their regimes in their countries." While he was a Christian. He was an American white Christian. He said, "Why? Look at us, we Christians. We never had any kind of violence or any troubles in any country we are there." So I smiled. I said, "Okay, this is your question." He said, "Okay, are you ready for the answer?" I said, "Okay, with all due respect, you have a big trouble because you are comparing two incomparable entities." Two incomparable entities means you can't compare an apple with an orange. Excuse me. I said, if in your religion, you decided to change it to be just a spiritual, system that does not cover many aspects of life, it's not my problem, it's your problem. As for me as a Muslim, my religion is a system of life. It covers every single aspect, unlike yours, but it's not my problem, it's yours. While I was explaining this, it did not reach him, and he was refusing my explanation. I kept, sometimes you read the body language, the face expression, you see, still troublemakers. Then Allah inspired me to use the following next methodology. That's why I want to quote it in my context now. What happened? I said, "Look, you know what's your problem? You are comparing Christianity with Islam as two religions. Actually, if you want to judge Islam, you need to compare it not with your religion, compare it with your system of life, which is democracy and American Constitution." He said, "What?" He said, "If you want to be just with me, view how I see my religion as how you view your what? Constitution and your democracy." You see? This is how he said. I said, "Let me ask a question." It happened at that time, George Bush was the president. I said, "If you as an American," Wallah, I was shocked with his answer, Wallahi. I said, "If you as an American discovered that George Bush at that time, he's planning to destroy your democracy and to destroy your constitution. You know what he replied me immediately without even thinking? He said, we will kill him. I said, excuse me? What? He said, we will finish him. We will not allow him. This is, okay. I said, you are not a terrorist. Subhanallah. I said, why? Because this is your life, your system, democracy. See? Then he said, then he stopped arguing with me. When I told him, compare my religion with your constitution or your democracy, because your life depends from your point of view on what? Democracy, democratic states. Actually, why you send your United Nations? What is the biggest claim why they send their troops to many countries? For what? To spread what? Democracy. They want to achieve democracy, to spread peace, and they use what? The power. Anyway, my point, what came to my mind now when I said it's our constitution, it's our system of life. Immediately I remember, because 2 days ago I had this hot discussion with a group of people. I was explaining this idea came to the top of the discussion. When Islam is compared with another religion, immediately you are doing injustice for Islam. Because there is no other religion. Buddhism is not like, Christianity is not. Hinduism is just a social system. We Muslims have a constitution that covers every single aspect of your life. Starting from the very simple, whatever. How to eat, how to drink, how to sleep, what to say, what not to say. Why you should marry, why not, how to divorce, how to distribute the wealth. You know, the inheritance, your food, your clothing, your loyalty, what to say, what not to say, your friendship, your divorce, everything. International relations, everything is there. Plus, what comes as a subdivision of the Quran, which is the Sunnah. And then the explanation, which is the Islamic jurisprudence, which is the fiqh. This is our system of life. Why I put all of this introduction? So that in light of this, let's understand how Allah is warning us. From one angle, the Quran is explaining to us part of the human nature. When they are left to do what they want without any kind of opposing, this is what they will do. What is it? Which means لا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل. Do not consume one another's wealth unjustly. Which means people tend to do this by, you see, by default. So Allah is warning us, be careful. Do not consume one another's wealth unjustly, nor deliberately bribe authorities in order to devour a portion of others' property. وَتُدْلُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَّامِ. Which means, you people of wealth, part of your mentality that you seize the money of the people and you bribe people of power, so that people of power will use their power to protect your system and to put the laws to protect your wealth. Does this ring a bell? Insurance companies, for example. Banking system, for example. Are you with me? What happens? Just simple question. We people in Ontario, how billions we pay every year for the insurance companies for our cars, compared with Montreal, for example. See, this is a real example. We are living in it. 100, 10, 5 doubles, 3 doubles, 7 doubles sometimes. Why? The power of insurance companies on the government. Simply, direct. 1 + 1 = 2. No one is able to utter a single word. Why you pay $500 for a simple car? The whole car is just $10,000. You pay $500. Why? The same, go to Montreal, you pay $70. Who decide that I pay $500 for this nearly rubbish car? Why? Insurance companies. Who has the power now? Insurance companies. Why we are not able? Because of the power. Insurance are benefiting who? People in power. Why now the least of houses you can buy now is 1 million plus in our area? Why? Second largest piece of land on earth, which means we have billions and millions and millions of hectares. طب why it's very, why? Because you have restriction in a very restricted number of developers. Who decided that these are the only developers? The government. Why? Power, money. Very simple. By the way, second largest country on earth means a piece of land should be very cheap. You have land. I can understand, for example, if you are in Tokyo or in Japan or in Hong Kong, a piece of land could be equal to millions because there is no piece of land.
Yeah, but if you go far away from her, 2 hours is cheap, it's nothing. But because there's a services here, it's monopoly by the developers.
But this is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but if you, it's cheap. The land is cheap. It's very cheap. Out of the Toronto.
Can you go there? No services. Who decided not to send services? Yeah, I mean, but this is the idea. Do not consume the wealth and give it to the authorities as Allah called it bribe. وَتُدْلُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَّامِ, which means you keep what? Supporting each other. The end result, consuming the wealth of the people. If this is not applicable on the interest banking system, what is it? Who controls the decision of the interest rates? Who takes the decision that we should have just 4 banks or 6 banks? Why? Why not to have 100 banks? Why not? You are not allowed to compete. But this is democracy. No, habibi. Where is it? Why just 6 banks? Why? Question, logical question. Consider I'm an atheist. Why just 6 banks? Why just 5 developers? Why? This is exactly what Allah is saying. We think that, oh, no. There is a group of high beneficiaries. The rest, somehow, they are just enslaved to pay the tax. And that's it. And by the way, I'm not just talking about here, I'm talking about the whole globe of earth. Wherever you go, the same system. Wherever you go, who's controlling nearly everything? Big companies and national companies, such as banks and insurance companies. It's an example. But this people of wealth, that's why when you go and read, ask ChatGPT, ask Mr. Google now. 2% of population on earth, they own 85% of wealth on earth. The rest, 98% of population, they own 15%. The distribution of wealth is horribly unjust. And this is the meaning of the ayah. It's a guidance. If we want to rule by Islam is going to be careful. You have, this is a constitution, main guide. وَلَا تُدْلُوا, do not consume one another's wealth unjustly, nor deliberately bribe authorities in order to devour a portion of other people's property, knowing that it is a sin. We realize, we understand. How we do know? Now, look now, one of the other examples that we are witnessing now, Mr. Trump and Elon Musk. What's this? Money and power.
Collaboration.
Money and power. Where is the average American in this equation? He does not, he's somewhere else. Where is democracy? Democracy means money and power, period, that's it. Money and power, and that's it. That's why people in general, wallahi, they need to be connected with their Lord again. Because if the existence of Allah, God Almighty, disappears, this is what will happen. Already we are living part of it. Already. So this is the most important message of this ayah. Now, when I was preparing, I quoted another ayah, contains about, not from chapter al-Baqarah, from another surah, but just to have the full meaning of the relation between people of power and people of wealth from Quranic perspective. Look what Allah says, how He's describing it in another chapter. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. ما أفاء الله على رسوله من أهل القرى فلله وللرسول ولذي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل كي لا يكون دولة بين الأغنياء منكم وما آتاكم الرسول فخذوه وما نهاكم عنه فانتهوا واتقوا الله إن الله شديد العقاب. This is another context. Part of the context related to our topic. Look, Allah says, as for gains granted by Allah and to His messengers, we are talking in the context of battles and spoils, okay? In this context, so we are talking about gains, properties, money, wealth, jewels, gold, okay? Piece of land, any kind of this kind of wealth. As for gains granted by Allah to His messenger from the people of other lands, they are for Allah and the messenger, his close relatives, orphans, the poor, and the needy travelers, so that the wealth, look, Allah is saying, be careful. When you, people of power from Islamic perspective, have the money, distribute it justly. Consider orphans, people in need, weak, widows, which means design this system to protect and secure all of these vulnerable categories. But why Allah is asking the people of power in the Islamic existence to do this? قال, so that wealth may not merely circulate among you rich. If you do not do this, money will keep circulating among what? The rich. Just the rich. The rest on the margin, just paying the interest, and that's it. The money will be circulating. Wallahi, I mean, subhanallah, just in this context, how rich, if there are no regulations to stop their power, always will become richer. That's why, look to any one of these big, huge companies now, for example, you will be amazed to know that they are part of 5, 6, 7 companies. You know all of them, but you don't know that they are owned by one entity. I was shocked the other day, for example. I have no idea, just for example. ESO gas stations. The same owner who owns them owns what? Shoppers Drug Mart. And President Choice. And شو اسم السوبر ماركت اسمه زي مش لونغوس الثاني هذا لوبلوز. يس جزاك الله خير. لوبلوز, Shoppers Drug Mart, ASOS, and another one or two, I forgot them. All of them are one company. Then you will discover, like for example, cars in America. You will see, for example, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, I don't know, Oldsmobile, all of them, they are one company. So they started one, they became 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. As if what they are in, at the end they are just one company. How many of you know that Kia Motors and Hyundai, they are one company? Same company. Hyundai and Kia Motors, they are one company. You see? Which means, the defaults. I have a lot of money, I can invest, I can decide, I can take risk. The poor people, they don't have the option aslan to think to do something. They will stay in their places unless those whom enabled by Allah to have the power, in our language now the government, put the regulation to protect the needy and not to let the money keep circulating among them. By laws, by enforcing the law. Final example. Who's paying tax in all the Wests? Simple, humble, I'm talking about the percentage, not the numbers now. Who's paying more? The simple, humble, average people or multimillionaires? Who's paying more tax? Poor people, wallahi. Wallahi. If you own now, for example, in Canada, if your salary is less than, for example, 86,000 a year, the income tax could be between 28 to 30 to 32 to 34%, which means third of Your salary. And when you go and pay the HS, شو اسمه ضريبة المبيعات HSS? HST. Okay. The end result, when you pay all the tax, you will end up paying around 45 to 50% of your income, which is aslan just 75 or 80,000 percent, which is the whole year you will be enjoying how 40 to 40 something. Divide on 12, you are using 3,000. طيب. If a rich company who, for example, gains billions, what is the percentage of, as a company now they pay? 13%, 12%, 9%. When you put the expenses, which is part of the commercial system, they might end up paying 7 or 6 or 3 or 2%. I as an individual, with my limitations, I pay 48%. He as a company with millions of gains, he end up paying less than 10%. What is this? Who put this law? Is this Quran? Why? If I pay 40 out of 80, why he does not pay 5 millions out of 10 millions? Have you ever heard a company gain 10 millions, they pay 5 millions? It's impossible. But who designed the laws? People of money, rich people, people of power. Who decide? MPs, legislative, that's it. Who pushes and helps MPs to be in the parliament? People of money. Who keeps the people of money having their richness? The laws. Who decide the laws? The politicians. Who support the politicians? People of money. And we lay people watching. Yes, just watching. Oh, that's they ping pong. Oh, he won. What about you? Nothing. Go to hell. By the way, this is an international human, let's say, system. And Quran is describing it. He's saying, if you want to be a believer, be careful. Subhanallah. I just wanted to, okay, I'm not expert in international finance. I'm not expert in these big economies. I'm just telling you about what the Quran is guiding as a constitution humanity. When you read it, we say, wow, 1400 years ago. Because you know, some people, unfortunately, those who do not believe in Quran and Islam, they think that Muhammad ﷺ is the one who composed this Quran. How come? How come? Who realized that this will happen now, as if the Quran is describing exactly what's happening now? Subhanallah. This is the most important message of today. Now, another ayah, because when I prepared, subhanallah, I collected all the verses that talks about consuming the wealth. يأكلون. And look, Allah used the word يأكل, literally means eat. Which Allah used the same word that we use it for eating the food, He used it for eating the wealth, exactly, in the Quran. The other ayah, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَأْكُلُونَ. Now connect this ayah with the previous two ayats. How Allah is warning about the severe punishment for those who transgress and they eat the wealth of others unjustly. Why we need to be connected with Allah. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَأْكُلُونَ أَمْوَالَ الْيَتَامَى ظُلْمًا إِنَّمَا يَأْكُلُونَ فِي بُطُونِهِمْ نَارًا وَسَيَصْلَوْنَ سَعِيرًا. Indeed, those who unjustly consume orphans' wealth. This is one category. One category out of the weak, vulnerable people on this side. Just one category, orphans. Those who unjustly consume orphans' wealth, in fact, consume nothing but fire into their bellies, and they will be burned in a blazing hell. What about if you are eating the money of the needy, the orphans, the widows, and the sick, and all of other categories? If just one category, which is orphans, definitely deserve the يَصْلَوْنَ سَعِيرًا. Blazing fire will be in you. It's like a metaphorical usage for the definite destination in the hellfire. But if I'm doing this for That's why I keep always saying, you know, in Arabic, when someone becomes a minister, we call him what? Wazir. Wazir comes from the radical verb or the origin of the root verb, which is wizr. Arabic language is an amazing, amazing, clever language. Unlike English. English is some... خلينا ساكتين. Wallahi, you can't compare between Arabic and English. You can't. Look, when someone becomes a minister, he is wazir. Wazir comes from the word, the radicals or the root verb wizr. Wizr in Arabic means the heavy burden. So the wazir is what in Arabic? The one who's holding on his shoulder a very heavy burden. So when you become a wazir, a minister, you were in a status not holding any kind of heavy burden, except it's very simple. Once you became in charge, you became in power, you became having the authority, you are holding what? Heavy burden. Accountability will be doubled now, maybe hundreds or thousands of times. That's why back in my country, the people always, when someone wins the elections and becomes a MP, or he was selected or chosen by the king or whatever to be a minister or something with a high charge, the people, they go, they do what? They celebrate and they congratulate him. They bring knafa and start dancing and say, oh, and they put this kind of congratulate on the... I said, congratulate him because he became closer to the hellfire? Wallahi, imagine, I, for example, I have five kids. When I pass away, I will be held accountable on how? 5 kids. But if I became the prime minister of my country, sorry, not prime minister, the minister of education, to the best of my knowledge, at least 1.7 million students in the public system. In the normal case, I was supposed to be held accountable for my 5 kids. If I became Minister of Education, I was held accountable on behalf of 1.7 million. Did they receive the proper education or not? Did you allow a foreign country to inject their poison in your curriculum or not? Did you accept the bribe and sign something because they gave you whatever to allow a filthy, dirty, poisoning ideology to be inserted in the books, and it will kill them and will make them XYZ for the coming 10 years or not? The hellfire will be guaranteed for me. While in the fair, so because I became wazir, which means more accountability, which means more heavy burden. In light of this is how Muslims should be thinking about being in charge. People, they kill themselves to be in a high position politically. Power in Islam. That's why maybe the only group of people that you witness in the history, just Muslim scholars who were lashed on their backs because they refused to take high positions. Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu, you know, he was punished and put in jail. He lashed on his back because he refused to be قاضي القضاء. Like the مسؤول كبير القضاء, Chief Justice, جزاك الله خير, Chief Justice. You see, he was, you know, by the ruler, he wants him to be, said, I will not accept. I see a lot of injustice, I'm not able to change it, and it will be on my back when I meet Allah, I will not. He was lashed. Can you imagine this? Where do you find this? Where do you find it? Many Sahaba, when they wanted, after at the time of Umar, at the time of Abu Bakr, at the time of Umar, sometimes they were begging and pushing some Sahaba. They refused to be in charge, to be rulers, to be wali. They refused because they know it has consequences of what? Accountability. Literally, humanly, they become multi-millionaires. Yes, in charge. Al-Hajjaj bin Yusuf al-Thaqafi, for example, who served with one of the Umayyad rulers before he became, he's from Thaqif, at-Ta'if. He was a teacher of Arabic language and Quran in Al-Ta'if. Simple, humble teacher. When he worked in the police of the state in Bilad al-Sham, then he became the head of the state, then he became a wali. After he had the power, he did what? He killed many people. He tortured many people. He attacked the Kaaba. He killed Sahaba. Why? So when you have a power, you don't know what you'll do. You don't know what you might do. So this is the Quranic. Subhanallah. By the way, Al-Hajjaj, he was Hafiz for Quran, a teacher of the Quran. Once he reached the power, many things changed. Wealth and power. That's why we always say that this is the whole idea. كي لا يكون دولة بين الأغنياء منكم. So be careful not to let the money be circulated among the rich. And this is exactly what we are suffering now, subhanallah. 2% of population on earth owns 85% of wealth. Wow, 85% of wealth. Can you imagine that? Subhanallah. One of the funny things, I was listening to financial economic analyst yesterday. Just yesterday. You know, it's completely outside, but just related somehow. UK, Britain, Great Britain, Great Britain. Great Britain, now they are suffering when they decided to leave the Brexit out of arrogance. They don't want to be with the European Union. They thought that they must be independent. So they started suffering financially. Okay? Because of that, they decided to rise the tax. And they put more restricted conditions on millionaires. Guess, the last 2 years, how many multi-millionaires they left the UK officially? From an economic analyst yesterday I was listening. Left the UK. I mean, the definition of a multi-millionaire, anyone who owns 1 million, dollar and above. It could be 10 million, it could be 2 billion, it could be 1 million. 8,000. Multi-millionaire. In less than 2 years. Starting from 2024. 26,000 multi-millionaire. Left. 26,000 multi-millionaire. Now, the funny things, most number one destination for them was what? Dubai. UAE. Then the island of Monaco. Which I said to myself, they have 26,000 multimillionaire, and they are part of the multimillionaires. Where are this money? And by the way, just
how many millionaires
in
in Toronto?
Toronto,
Pick a number.
I have no idea, but I believe thousands, definitely thousands, definitely.
Pick a number.
Just in Toronto or Ontario?
GTA. Toronto.
Toronto.
GTA.
GTA.
Put the number.
I'm expecting around 12,000.
250,000.
250.
Millionaire.
Quarter million multimillionaire.
2004 was 118,000. Now it's 250,000 in GTA. Millionaire.
But I mean, you know about circulation, the wealth among the rich people. You know, the richest country on earth is the United States. The national income in the United States is 28.1 trillion a year. Second richest country is China, 18 point something trillion. Okay? Third, who knows?
Russia.
Who knows?
Not Saudi, Russia. Singapore.
India.
No. No. Canada number 8 or 6 or 7.
Singapore.
No.
Saudi. UAE.
No. Germany. The funny things, 4 point something trillion. 28 United States. 18 China. Germany number 3. Guess who is number 6?
Canada.
No.
Qatar.
No. the state of California, if they have independence. Are you with me? I'm just giving you, the amount of money. طيب, why I mentioned the United States? United States مشردين في الشارع شو اسمه بالانجليزي؟ homeless. Okay, سبحان الله. United States homeless people number, they are more than those who reside in the capital, Washington DC. Millions. Many of them, they are veterans who served in the US Army. طب, what's happening? Take it from a human point of view. Forget politics now. Forget what they do for us. No, forget now. From pure human point of view. Pure human point of view. Billions are spent where? In Gaza. Tens of millions, they are homeless. What's this? This is دولة بين الأغنياء منكم. The rich, who cares? This is exactly the richest country on earth. They have the highest level, relatively speaking, of homeless in the street. But what's this? Forget religion, forget politics now. Just pure human statistics. One of the biggest percentage of homeless. This is a human phenomenon. That's why, what do you think I will say now? That's why what? Human beings are in need for Islam. Wallahi. As I kept always saying, why even non-Muslims need Islam? And I will finish by this, inshallah. Why non-Muslims need Islam? Said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ. What does this mean? The word shaheed, what's shaheed? When you understand the context. Therefore, we made you an intermediate, balanced ummah, so that you will be a witness in humanity. Show you a witness. You will be what? You will be a standard, criterion. When humanity are misled, they need a benchmark to return to. What is right and what is wrong? Who's holding the basic common sense right except Muslims now? I'm speaking on a human level now. Drinking alcohol, can anyone with power of intellect say it's good or bad? Is it good or bad, alcohol? Generally speaking, compare the harms with the benefits, good or bad? Okay, who's prohibiting alcohol on earth except Muslims?
No one.
No one except Muslims. This is shuhada ala nas. Another example, what is so-called in English the promiscuity. Do you know what does it mean? Promiscuity? Who knows what does it mean? This is a classical terminology. Promiscuity. Promiscuity means any sexual relation outside the institution of marriage. It's called promiscuity. Anything. This is the classical Christian terminology for prohibiting anything outside marriage. Type. Who is holding a very strong stand about that? Whatever it is, it's haram except marriage. Who's? Muslims. Islam, that's it. Islam, everything. Who can oppose porno industry on earth except Muslims? Using their religion. Because, what do I mean by Muslims? Others, even if they have a good intention to oppose it, they don't have the power to speak because it's relatively speaking, liberalism. What is the core of liberalism? Liberalism, personal, individual, freedom. I think, I feel, don't interfere in my business. I see porno good, you see it bad, okay, keep what you think for you and I do what for it. So the law will allow me to open a porno site, prostitution. Who can say no for prostitution? Muslims. Who can say no for porno industry? Muslims. Who can say no for alcohol? Muslims. Who can say no for drugs? Muslims. Who can, by the way, I will not say who can say, who does not dare but to say no except Muslims. Because others, they have the option to shut up their mouths because simply it's up to them. For us, it's not up to us. If you accept it, you lose your faith. What? You lose your faith because you are changing what? The religion. It's had min hududillah. It's a command from Allah. If I said, Wallahi, imagine if God forbid, I became in charge of a Muslim country, and because I want just to fix my problems and to have money and to have satisfaction from other countries, I said, there's a huge dispute about the prohibition of alcohol and zina, so it's something, it's personal freedom. I committed kufr immediately. I'm an apostate. If I dare to do it, I lose my faith. So, if you dare to do it, as if you have signed on a contract to guarantee the bottom of Jahannam. Halal zalal alayk. So you can't. So Islam designed, this is the meaning of إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ. It's we who sent down this religion, this dhikr, this Quran, this knowledge, and it's we who will preserve it. So therefore, alcohol, drugs, porno, prostitution, riba, interest. 99% of people, they are suffering from their mortgage. How many of us, 10 years ago, you started paying the mortgage, let's say for example, 1,500. Now you are paying 4,000 now. But how come? Interest rates. Who dares to open his mouth? No one. No one. But why I should be spending all of my life just paying the interest? This is the new modern slavery. Wallahi, we are enslaved. The majority of us, we are enslaved for banking system. Who can say no? Muslims. That's why I keep saying, when I was not joking, it's not a metaphor when I say humanity is in need for Islam. Not, wallahi, even if they rejected Islam as a faith, they need Islam as a system. I once in one of my khutab, I challenge every single woman on earth, even if she is a non-believer, atheist, agnostic, whatever she is, but a non-Muslim. I challenge if she will not be happy to know that the system, that her partner, husband, beloved person, whatever, he is protected and prohibited from having a sexual relation with anyone else except her. She will be happy or unhappy? Answer. Happy or unhappy? If the system does not allow her partner to have a sexual relation except with her, this even atheist, she will happy or non-happy? She will be happy. So Islam is serving her or not? Wallahi. The average of sexual relations for the British adult who lives around 50 years, the latest statistics, the average, okay? For a British male, if he reaches the 50, the average of women who had sex with them is 18. Average. Average means less than 18, and there could be what? Doubled, 36. And they speak about polygamy in Islam. And those who are making ta'addud of polygamy in Islam, maybe less than 1,000% in the Muslim world. Just in Britain, the average is 18. Average. So humanity is in need for Islam. Wallahu alam. Finito. Alas, finished. Inshallah. See you today in the last session, inshallah, of chapter al-Baqarah. Inshallah. Sorry, next week, not tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum.